What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And we got all winners on the pod today. We got Neil Chakravarty, Chelsea fan, stand-up comic. We got Lee Hudson, Southampton fan. They won in the
Hey.
championship, right? Am I right? You all won,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
We won.
And we got Ian Edwards, United fan, and we won something. We won a game. So I'm happy about that. So we're going to talk about Chelsea versus Spurs. Spurs first defeat of the season, and we're all excited about that 100%. Uh, we're going to talk about Arsenal, Newcastle, and we're going to talk about Southampton in the championship, and we're going to talk about what's coming up. We got Champions League games midweek, right? And
Yep.
then what's popping on the weekend. But so Neil, you haven't been with us in a minute. But Chelsea record wasn't that bad before this game. It was 4-1-1. Am I correct?
I mean, we haven't been winning any games, if that's what you're asking. I think we won
Four
two
wins,
versus
four
like.
wins, one loss, one draw. I think
Oh,
they
are
were
you talking
saying
like
in
over the course of the entire season?
no, in all competitive areas, in all
Yeah, we won a
competitions.
few games. If you count the entire season.
Yeah. So, but it's not as bad. But how do you feel about the game today? Like, yeah, let's get that, and then we'll talk about like VAR and all of that.
It was a bizarre game. Like I was almost like dying laughing by the end of it. Like it just seemed like a simulation. It didn't seem real. It seemed like the fakest game ever.
Why? Because you won, or
No, yeah, because we won, and especially the fact that it actually ended up being 4 goals by the end. Uh, yeah, it's just such a frustrating team at the moment, and for the most part, the game went exactly how you'd expect. Chelsea games the season to go. Even though we got so much luck, like Spurs down 10 men, Spurs down 9 men. I mean, it wasn't lucky because the red cards were deserved, but I don't think we are scoring more than 1 goal in that game if we didn't have that numerical advantage. Um, but yeah, I mean, Nicholas Jackson completely, he exemplified what this game was all about. Like he had one of the worst performances I've seen by a player that got a hat trick. Usually, when you talk about somebody having a bad hat trick, it's because they scored maybe two penalties, one tap in, stuff like that. But no, he actually scored legitimate goals. But the absolute mediocrity that preceded it, which almost felt like you're just throwing the game away. Um, it's tough to completely erase it from your memory. But then he did get a hat trick, so yeah, yeah. I just hope like the club knows, the players know, and Pochettino drills it to them that you aren't gonna get this lucky in the future. So yeah, but I mean, I'll take it. As I've been saying all season, performances wise, this is a very little to fault this Chelsea team up until the point where they get in front of goal, and then they absolutely start acting like school kids playing against a full senior team.
well, I just want to say congratulations on the win. Not only did I get to watch Spurs lose, but I got to see Martin leave here crushed because he came here to see the game. So to see him excited about the way Spurs started the game, even though I think Chelsea started the game like pressing really well, and mysteriously that good pressing disappeared when Spurs only had 9 men on the pitch, and you should have been pressing and turning them over, and you did create some situations and blow some goals, but I feel like I'm happy Spurs lost. Like I like Pop Stakoglu, like as a coach, but we can't have Spurs just going through the season like they're invincibles. We need them to get a loss, and so I'm glad I was here for the first loss of the season. and Martin was here to see because he hasn't felt how it felt to lose in a long time. And as a United fan this season, I've definitely felt that. Neil, I mean Lee, what's your take on this game? Like, and as far as the calls, you know.
I thought the game was hilarious, if I'm honest. Like it would have been fun if Spurs had lost a good game 2-1, but the way it all unfolded, I thought was just hilarious. I mean, like Spurs didn't even really deserve their goal. It was a fluke. It's a freak goal. It's just cannoned in off a big deflection. Wouldn't have gone in otherwise. So they were lucky to get one goal. The challenges, like Romero and Udogie should have been both sent off before their other red cards anyway. So in my mind, those guys got 2 red cards each. The FA should look at the video and ban them for longer.
They should get 6 games apiece.
Yeah, like Udogie was really lucky that Sterling jumped out the way of that first one because that's an ankle breaker. Like you don't tackle like that. That's not a ball winning tackle when you leave the ground and you jump with both feet outstretched together. Like you're trying to hit someone. You're not trying to win the ball. That's him going, fuck you, I'm going to hurt you kind of thing. And that shouldn't be seen on a football pitch. Like Sterling, like I say, he did him a favour and himself a favour by getting out the way of that. That should have been a red. Romero kicking out off the ball should have been a red. And then, they both got their justice for that anyway. So, I mean, Spurs did everything to themselves. There was a lot of emotion and feeling around the game with Pochettino going back to Spurs for the first time. And, these guys weren't even at the club when Poch was there. So I don't know why they're losing their heads and getting caught up in everything. It would have been maybe understandable if someone like Eric Dyer had gone a bit crazy or something because it's, a lot of stuff going on. But these guys, I think it showed the true Spurs mentality came out. It was a big occasion and they fell to pieces. They lost their heads. And that's the real Spurs coming out there. I don't care if they can go and beat Luton and beat Sheffield United and stuff. This was a game where, although Chelsea haven't been on form, it's a big occasion because it's a London derby. It's the old manager coming back. There was pressure and they folded. They lost their heads. They collapsed. They went to pieces. And I think that's the test for them now as to whether or not they're going to be a top 14 this season is do they bounce back from that and do they get their shit together and go back on the winning run that we saw before this game? Or is this the start of Spursy? Is this the start of the downfall? Is this the start of the return to mediocrity that, we all know and love for Tottenham? It's
I feel like this is the turning point of Spurs season because I've been talking about Van de Ven, how good he is. And I've also been saying that Van de Ven has actually been making Romero look good. Like everybody feels like Romero has improved as a defender this year, but if you really look at it, Van de Ven has been covering him. And he has this exceptional speed that he's been beating the fastest forwards. And I said I saw him play for Holland. And last week I was really bigging him up. But then the fact that he pulled up with a hamstring, and then you have to play Eric Dyer for the next few games, and then Romero, who has discipline problems, like he was definitely lack of discipline FC. He was a part of lack of discipline FC today. And now, so they're going to miss their 2 best defenders. Like Spurs in the next few weeks are going to find out how Manchester United feel when they have to start Maguire and Evans, when they have to start Van de Ven, and when they have to start without Van de Ven and without Romero and use a back 4 of guys they had issues with last year. You know what I'm saying? Or the season before.
Yeah.
So, and then what's the kid from Leicester that got injured today that plays for Spurs?
From Leicester.
Madison.
Oh, Madison, yeah.
So Madison got injured too. So now we're going to see how Spurs react 3 games from now when they have to tap into their depth. We know that the people that they bought as starters have been working. But how are they going to do when they have to fall back on the players that weren't good enough, that were replaced by these players that are now going to be out? So today's a big game, not because they just lost, but because of the personnel that they lost today. So I'm going to be paying real close attention to Spurs. They might go on a little skid. They might go on a mini skid. So, if they don't, I'll be surprised. And then that's more testament to Postecoglou. But this game hurt them a lot.
Yeah. I mean, also as well, like there's loads of people, because Ange Postecoglou got asked about the high line in the interviews afterwards. And he said, this is just how we play. Until while I'm at the club, this is how we play. We'll always have a go. Even if we have 5 players, we'll have a go. And I saw people like on Twitter, like pundits going like, oh, what a guy. Like the man's got principles. I'm like, well, if that principle is kamikaze, yeah. Like, sure. Like I'm all for managers having like sticking to their philosophy and, having their principles. But that was just stupid. Like those goals were stupid. They were embarrassing goals. Like the whole team just lined up, like 7 players were in a line and Chelsea just played a pass. Like you can't do that. Like you need to have pressure on the ball if you're going to do that. And there was no pressure on the ball. The whole defense could be taken out with one pass. And then they were just running through, square the ball, easy finish. Like it was embarrassing to see that. Like, you're a professional football team. Like you need to make it harder than that. Even with 9 players, you need to make it harder than that. You got to do something to not get picked off like that. And I know they almost went and scored 1, but they would have got picked off anyway. Like they should have, if they'd carried on, if they'd done, even if they'd scored, that high line would have got them picked off afterwards. So, yeah, I mean, it's pragmatic to try and defend with 9 men, but I've seen teams do it. Teams have done that. I mean, Liverpool have done it earlier this season and almost got a result in games. Was it Newcastle away? They had 2 players sent off.
I can't remember the result of that game.
But yeah, but they were smart with how they did it. And this wasn't smart from Tottenham. It was naive. It showed like a naive mentality to try and do that because it was idiotic.
I kind of disagree with you because the way Chelsea was playing, like Chelsea starts games with intensity, but they kind of wear down because it's weird in this game. Like I mentioned it before, they had less of a press when Spurs had 9 players than they had when Spurs had 11. They started
because we had more of the ball, right? Like when you have more of the ball, you don't really need to press that much because when the numbers went in our favor.
But even when Spurs lost the players, I was telling Martin, I think you could score. And then they did score and they took it off. And then there was another chance when Bentancur could have scored. Like, listen, you're losing anyway. You might as well try. Like, I get what you're saying, but it's like at losing 2-1 or 4-1 is still a dropping of 3 points. So I say I'm not mad at them for trying to play in a high line.
No, but I think we can still play. You don't need to just defend. You can still have some sort of attacking outlets. But highline is not the only way. Like I don't like how highline has become synonymous with attacking football these days. Like you can play attacking football without going crazy on your highline.
Without surrendering a whole half to the opposition to run into.
Yeah, and I think the only reason why it still sort of looked respectable, and that's why Leah, like you're saying, a lot of analysts, pundits are kind of praising that, right? I think that was only because it was Chelsea, and because Chelsea, we were not taking advantage of it. So for a while, the scoreline still looked respectable, right? Like till stoppage time, it was still 2-1. Until the 75th minute, I think it was still, it was 1-1, right? Like if this was any other team, it would have finished like 8-0, 8-1, 9-1, 10-1. And I would want to see Postecoglou after that come out and say, that's just us. Yeah, he wouldn't be doing that.
Well, Postecoglou probably did his game research and was like, Nate ain't going to score 3. because Nate normally
Yeah,
doesn't
I
score
completely
once.
concede that
So
because even I thought
Chelsea
that.
can't score. Let's play a
Yeah,
high
yeah,
line.
yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
best they can do? And even you're mad. So maybe he played the
Yeah.
high line based on
Yeah.
who
So
he's playing
I would at
against.
least respect that if he has the balls to come out and say
Yeah, he's not gonna say that. It's disrespectful, but
come on and
obviously he was
say.
like,
Come on and
obviously
say.
he's like, I've seen this Chelsea not be able to score against Sheffield or like name somebody, and he's like, fuck it, let me attack. I saw them not be able to score against Nottingham Forest. Let shoot. If they take off another man, I'll still attack this team. This team can't score.
Yeah. I mean, what we were doing up front was absolutely crazy, and this is we've had these issues in a lot of games, but today it took things to another level because we were like players were being so selfish too. Like so many times I saw Kukurea, Modric, Sterling, Nicholas Jackson himself. Like you have a teammate who's in a better position. Just pass. Just pass. You have a numerical advantage. You almost always have that numerical advantage. Even when it was like 11v11, because they were playing the highlight, right? So once you get past, you are in an advantage. Nobody's picking the right pass out in the final third. It was just crazy.
I agree with you, but you know what's ironic about what you said? Sterling made two bad passes today, where they were better passes, but those two passes resulted in reckless tackles by Spurs players that got them hooked from the game. Because when
Yeah.
Sterling, I think, went to Jackson wide one time, the ball stayed in the area, and then that's when Romero committed the foul. But he should have went, or whoever had the ball should have went left to the open player that was left, who would have got a shot on goal. And then in the second time, there was another like bad pass that like the foul on Sterling for Undogi. Sterling should have passed that ball to the left to the player that was wide. I think it was Mudryk, and he didn't. He passed it to his right, and then the defender from Spurs blocked it, and then Sterling jumped onto the end of the ball and got fouled by Undogi, and then got taken out the game. So like all his bad passes in the final third actually helped Spurs lose that game.
Maybe he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's seeing where he got tarot cards.
He's like, I know Romero's are like because this wasn't like out of character for Romero. He's been doing this all last season, as well. Like he's a liability. That guy, he can't tackle without leaving something in on the player. So no, I mean I doubt it was on purpose. But I mean, you play loose passes around him, he's going to do something because he's an idiot.
I'm thinking like what Ian was saying is it's kind of the converse, right? Like Chelsea's so bad that we're actually unpredictable. So what you think is gonna be the right as a defender, what you think is gonna be the right next move to make is so unpredictable that you're having to make a rash thing that you never accounted for in the first place. So maybe there's something there that's working for us.
Yeah, Chelsea. Keep making the wrong pass, and you'll be all good. You'll be good this season.
But even like at the beginning of the game, right? Like if you see like the first 10 minutes or so, Spurs were completely playing through us. We were playing a three-man midfield and it looked like there was zero, there's nobody in midfield. And Spurs were like picking people out and the crosses are coming in, shots and goal. But for some reason they abandoned that and started playing a physical game. There was no need for it. They were winning the game, or they were actually winning the football that was being played. They made it into a physical game, and then our guys got some of a little bit of grit behind them, and got a few moves going, and then it became this game of ping pong, and that's when the first Romero challenge happened, and like Spurs completely lost their heads in those 10 minutes, unforced. Uh, there was no reason for it.
I think you guys started the physicalness of the game because there were three passes that Saicedo kind of got to the back of the Spurs midfielder, and the midfielder went down. Martin was like begging for cards in my living room, like a like a kidding him.
No, but Spurs were dealing with that though. Spurs were still
But I think
absorbing it and doing the right
you,
things.
I think their physicalness made you guys feel like, especially like, Romero is so reactive. He's like, oh, okay, are we getting physical? Plus, the ref wasn't like the ref was letting people play. So then you realize the ref is letting people play on the other side. You're like, all right, shit, I'm gonna play. And that's when Spurs started doing the extra undisciplined stuff that got the cards. That and the Chelsea bad passes in the final third. So are you happy? This is a big win. Where are you at in the table now?
We're in the top half. You don't have to accept cookies anymore to see us on the table. You can actually see it on the same page that you see the top few teams.
Hilarious. Let me see.
We're 10th, but yeah, it's a good 3 points because it's very tough for us to get 3 points. Like you saw the game against Arsenal, like our good the way we finish means that our good games turn into draws and our mediocre game, like an average games turn into losses. So yeah, it was good to get 3 points for a change because I don't really know when the next 3 points are coming.
Another thing they were doing out here was like they said that this is Chelsea's best team, and they said that this is uh, Spurs' best team. But I disagree. It wasn't. It's Spurs' best team. They started their 11. You know what I mean? Basically, but it wasn't Chelsea's best team. You got injuries, and when those people come up from injuries, you guys could definitely go on a good or better run than they're on right now. Because I
think
always feel like Chelsea's.
Nkunku will come back.
Yeah, that's the main name I'm thinking about.
Yeah, maybe he can score some goals.
Yeah, maybe. But hopefully he's not like a Nate Jackson will perform in exhibition games, in preseason games for free.
Jackson, he just seems like the kind of player who there's something about him. He's not an absolute horrible player, right? There's something about him. But he should be like in a normal world, he should be an understudy to somebody at Chelsea. He should not be expected to lead the line with where he is at in his career right now.
Right.
For
And,
further
and
advancements.
it's because of injuries. Like, how many goals does he have this season? You're going to see how much of a, how you said it is the worst hat trick ever, right? You've ever seen. How many goals does he have this season?
He
And
has
how
5 goals in the Premier League right now.
5 out of 10 games or 11 games? That's the worst 5 goals out of 11 goals. You know what I mean? Like, that's how his hat trick, his season is going like this hat trick. Like, we've seen him miss multiple goals, but when you look at it, he's got 5 out of 11. So that's not bad. But so I feel like when he starts playing good, he'll put away the goals that he should have, and he'll be fine. He needs a season. He's just not. He doesn't have that Premier League confidence and composure.
Chelsea is still missing Chilwell as well at the moment.
Yeah.
That's another one to add in.
Yeah.
But do you think, Neil, do you think you'll buy an experienced striker in the window? Because I know Poch has said he's going to get more hands-on in the window and buy what he thinks the team needs.
Yeah, we should, because it's such a clear hole in the team. But then again, after having spent the money we have, who are we like? Are we gonna really spend top dollar and get somebody like Osimhen, or break our youth policy by going into somebody like Ivan Toney? So I don't think there are any obvious answers there.
Ivan Toney sounds like an obvious answer.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it in January.
Yeah, I've heard him linked with you and Arsenal. I don't know who has the greater need or who would be more attractive to him. But yeah, he's 27 at the moment.
27 and well rested.
Yeah, and hungry almost certainly as well to prove a point. But yeah, he's a real presence and a finisher as well. So yeah, be interesting to see if he does make that move or if he just wants to reintegrate at Brentford and then wait for the summer. But he is probably running out of time age-wise if he wants to make like a move to an elite club.
You don't want to end up Jamie Vardy and then you're not earning that big money and then your wife is forced to make underhanded deals with the son in order for your family to thrive.
I think she'd have done that anyway, to be honest.
Hilarious. The other big game this weekend in the Prem was Newcastle versus Aston Villa, and it kind of got brushed aside because
Arsenal, was it?
Arsenal versus Newcastle, right? Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. So it kind of got brushed aside, but when I was watching that game on Saturday, I was like, this is big. And while they were playing it, they let us know that this was big. Two teams from the top four last year, one finished second, one finished fourth, and they're announced themselves on the scene last season as like, we want to be contenders for real. And now you have two contenders going at each other. And they like wanted to show each other who was who. And it felt like a derby. It was mad physical, and there was some controversial calls. It was everything. I'm not going to talk about the game, but all I can say is I feel like pundits and everybody has an agenda against VAR because it's one of the things you could say something against that would get fans on your side and make them think that you're making sense. And I don't want to watch the game and hear the commentators criticize VAR. I don't care how long they take to make the decision, as long as it's the right decision. And it's like, it's like, let the people make the decision, commentate on the game, entertain us, but stop griping about VAR. What do you guys think about this game?
I thought it was a horrible game to watch.
Yeah,
I don't think it was a very like it was scrappy. It was feisty, but I didn't think there was much like quality action kind of thing. It just felt like they were going at it, but like I think Arsenal had like one shot on target the whole game. And yeah, I mean, I don't think the Newcastle goal should have stood. That's my opinion on it. It could have been disallowed.
Tell me why. Which one of the points?
I think the ball was out, and I think there was a foul.
I don't think the ball was out only because of what happened in the World Cup, where they have the technology to prove that it's out. And I don't
think they properly did for that, though. They do when it's like right by the goal line, but I think out in the corner, they just didn't even properly do it.
Yeah, I just don't think they have the technology in the Premier League, right, to tell if a ball is out. Is that the issue?
They do if it's goal line, to check if it's over the line in the goal, but they don't out in the corners.
But in the World Cup, they have that technology.
I think so, yeah. From what I remember of it.
Yeah, so they don't have the technology outside of the goal. So they were never going to overturn that because everybody's like, well, we thought it was outside during the World Cup and it wasn't. So this is probably a typical scenario. But I do think that was a foul. But because I kind of want Arsenal to lose anyway, I'm good with it. You know what I mean?
I thought both the ball being outside and the foul was kind of 50-50, in which case I'm like, it doesn't really matter. Like just give the goal.
Just give the goal.
Like even today, the game with the Spurs game, the Spurs goal, the first Spurs goal that is allowed, it was so tight. I kind of feel like in those you have to have benefit of doubt to the goal scoring team.
Nah.
Like just as on principle. But I did see for the Arsenal Newcastle thing, there was an overhead shot which showed that the ball was in, right? or was that did I see something edited?
I never saw that, but
Yeah, same.
I'm just going by the World Cup. Like we all thought it was out, then they showed the aerial shot, and it's like, all right, so it seemed like a similar thing. So I was like, all right, this is good enough. It's in. They don't have the technology to prove that it was out. They can't, so they can't make the ref change his mind. He never made a call, so now it's in. Now we go to the push, and
Yeah, so now you
players,
can't even blame VAR, right? Because the ref on the pitch gave the goal. So if there was no VAR, it would still have been a goal.
yeah, VAR did what they could, but they're limited too as far as that. And but yeah, so we got two pushes and one. It could have been a push, but players cheat, man. That's why we need VAR. And I was talking to Lloyd, and he has friends who have kids in like the academy of like Villa and other places, and they teach the kids to cheat. So as long as players cheat, there's going to be these VAR discrepancies. Like we're blaming these referees, but if players were honest, like there wouldn't be half this controversy that we have now. You know what I mean? So, and what do you guys think? And Arteta's like going on this rant. I want to ask you guys about the rant, but he wasn't ranting when VAR didn't send off Havertz.
Yeah, it's clubs will always do that, won't they? Like they'll moan when it goes against them, but when it goes in their favor, there'll be silence.
Do you think Havertz should have gotten a red, or was that yellow?
It's a hard one because he's out of control, but it's not like the Udogie one today where he jumped in with 2 feet kind of thing. It was just a late slide. So I think the yellow was just about right. Like it was a strong yellow. I think Gimaresh was the one that deserved the red for the elbow on the head. Like he looked like he was trying to get himself sent off at that point. Bruno Gimaresh.
Oh. And also Havertz generally doesn't have any control of his limbs, so I believe referees need to account for that. Like that's a disability at this point.
Neil's the character reference for Havertz.
Squids have more control over their legs than Havertz has over his.
Yeah.
But I had a feeling
legs, hands, like you see him like playing sometimes, and it just seems like he's had a lot of goals that he scored. Handball.
Oh, so you admit this?
No, they got chopped off. But he always seems so surprised that it's a handball. I'm like, it's your hand. How can he be so shocked?
Yeah, and I've seen him whiff in front of the goal, wide open goal this season too. So, but I knew Arteta was going to lose his game once he couldn't play his main people in midfield. No Partey, no Odegaard. Like I've seen Juninho come on and lose you games or hold 3 points this season. So to see him start a game, you know what I mean? Like I was like, this is shaky. You know, like I understand why Neil was angry with Juninho. Is it Juninho? Jorginho? Like at Chelsea when I see him play for Arsenal. Like I get it more. So I'm offering you a half apology. And then Havertz is
just like the William story. Remember when William went to Arsenal and Martin was like, I get it now.
Yeah. But now he's at Fulham and I don't get it again. Yeah. I don't know why was Chelsea so hard on him. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean Jorginho's problem is he's a very good footballer. He just plays in a part of the pitch where you can't escape being bad defensively and in transition. So you are gonna get found out often enough for it to be an issue. And
the thing is, like, if you're gonna,
like,
I was gonna say, if you're gonna play Jorginho, like you need to play him in a double pivot with a really defensive-minded player that's going to do the ball winning and the holding because Jorginho's there as a deep playmaker. He's there to move the ball up the pitch. He's there to collect the ball from the defense and choose. He's almost like a quarterback, like choose where the attack goes. He picks the next pass. Like he's a purely in possession player. Like he's not going to offer you much, if anything, out of possession. So you've got to pair him with someone. But like Arsenal, like got him in there with like Rice half the time, and Rice likes to go box to
But
box. He
isn't
likes to
Rice the
sort of
sitter?
not fully
No,
like
they
he
don't
likes to
play
get
him
up.
as a
He
sitter.
likes
I
to
think
get
he
up and
can.
down. Yeah.
But yeah. Arteta doesn't play him as a sitter.
Mm.
I mean, he's a sitter, but then he's going to make those runs, and then you want Juninho to cover for him, right?
Yeah.
And they should know, like, when somebody's going to do what. Like, last season, it was Partey, then Xhaka, and Odegaard. Partey sat. But you go forward sometimes. He had some great goals. So, you know, there's a... I don't understand. Like, this should be perfect for Juninho now, playing next to Rice. But I don't trust him. Years of Neil badmouthing him, and then see him in him, his arrows appear more in red.
The thing is, like, the closest reference point I've seen to somebody like Jorginho, who you think of somebody who's playing in a deep playmaking role, right? So he's playing deep, but not that great defensively. Is probably, of course, Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick was really good defensively, but you remember like Paul Scholes in the later half of his career. Even Fabregas when he joined Chelsea in his, when he came back from Barcelona. But these were players so exceptional on the ball that you can kind of almost tolerate that lack of defensive nous. I don't think Jorginho is that higher level either on the ball. So it's kind of like you're compromising, but is the trade-off as good for you to be making that compromise?
Are you saying he's just a myth?
Well, he's a good player, but I think Arteta, if he uses him like for sparingly against certain opposition, I think he'd still be a good player. It's just that if you have to depend on him for an entire season, that's when it's a problem.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like if you use him right, he has got his uses. But like I said, I think it's the team needs to be set up right, because even if you look at last season when they had Partey and Xhaka, they complemented each other well. Like if one would go, one would hold, and they were both capable of being a ball winner. Like Jorginho is not really he's not capable of doing that role. Like I say, he's a pass machine. He's not really going to do much else for you other than that and take penalties.
Like at Chelsea, his best period was when N'Golo Kante was at a superhuman level. And how many other players can you like? You can't if that's what you need to be alongside you.
But that's Declan Rice then.
It's
100 mil.
Yeah. No, Declan Rice definitely can be, but then you have other options like if the way Arteta is using Declan Rice right now, you can do better with somebody else next to him.
I mean, that other person is injured. Those two other people are injured, and it's just Havertz is just not nailing it. So I just knew, like, we faced Newcastle midweek, and to go up there.
I know where this is going.
I mean, I don't even know where it's going. I'm just saying, it's just the energy of these fans, like Arsenal needed to put on its full team. No Nketiah. They needed, Odegaard and Partey and Rice in the middle to win this. But a lot of teams in the league now are getting injuries, so now the season's starting to get interesting because Newcastle got a lot of injuries, Arsenal got some, so everybody's going to start to feel how United feels.
I think that was a really good point you made about Spurs earlier as well, about how like they've had it quite nice this season so far in terms of always being able to put their strongest team out. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they cope with that.
Yeah. Another good match this weekend was Doku versus Bournemouth. I don't know if anybody knows this new team called Doku, which sounds like a like a martial arts name from a one of those fighting video games. But this dude definitely will street fighter you on the pitch. Like, man, unstoppable. Like, I've never seen. You see a lot of shit. Like last year when we saw Haaland, we're like, this guy comes to the Premier League from another league and just adapts, and it's just like, it ain't going to get more adaptable than that. Some of the best players in the Premier League didn't adapt until they were on their second team. Like Mo Salah is one of the best players in the Premier League, and it took him to go to Chelsea, to leave, come back to Liverpool to become Mo Salah, to let it click. And there's been players that have adapted, but this guy Doku took one mediocre game to adapt, and he had a conversation with Pep. And Pep said, why did we bring you here? Because you have skill. You got to trust it and use your skill and just go for it. And ever since that conversation, it's just terror for anybody on the left hand. And he's not even playing. That's not even the right side of the pitch that he plays on. He's supposed to be playing on the right side. So he's so good. I don't even know how much game time Jack Grealish. You know how for England, people complain that Harry Maguire ain't getting playing time, and he plays for England. Jack Grealish is going to be next, because it's going to be Jack Grealish. And Jack Grealish was great last year. He finally figured it out. It took him a season, and he was great. But this Doku shit it's like, if already Man City's at the top of the table, and already they lost some games. So I feel like this is when they're just going to take off from here. Like, everybody's going to be left in the dust. Like, they've had their slip for the season, and they had it early. They've had their injuries, and look where they at. They have so much offensive weapons. It is crazy. After losing a bunch of them. What are your thoughts on just Man City and Doku?
Doku, like, it's almost like he's got Grealish's skill level, but with more pace, which is terrifying if you're a defender and he's running at you. You're like, because he can go like both ways as well. Like, he can cut inside or he can go outside. So you can't like show him one way and go, oh, it'll be okay if he goes down there, because that's his weak way. Like, he'll go around either side of you and burn past you either way. And then the problem all teams have against Man City is, if you double up on any of Man City's players, you're leaving a world-class player free somewhere. So if you try and go 2v1 against Doku, like, you're going to leave Silva free, or you're going to leave Rodri free, or Haaland free, or Foden free. Like, so you're going to leave someone in space, and they'll find that player and they'll fuck you up. It's not going to be good for you. Because other than, like, Haaland had that chance off the woodwork, but they kept Haaland relatively quiet. But then, Doku ran riot, Silva ran riot. It's like trying to plug a ship that's got like 7 holes in it. Like, you might be able to plug one hole and stop the water from coming in there, but it's going to come in and flood you everywhere else. So it's I would love to see how teams train during the week to prepare to face Man City, and what their game plans are versus what actually unfolds on the pitch.
I mean, the players they can bring on, like Foden, they can bring on Grealish, Julio Alvarez is balling. They got Haaland, who didn't even score in a 6-1 victory. They took him out early. It's the ammo, the weapon stash for Man City. It's just crazy. That's why Arsenal can't. I just don't see how Arsenal will catch them. The only team that got like a weapon stash like this is
Liverpool.
Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we played Arsenal and Tottenham pretty much back to back now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think neither of those two teams are at the level of Man City. Like they might be able to get a bunch of results going their way, but the way Man City absolutely dominates you makes you feel like you're not even in the game. Like these teams are not at that level. So and they've shown like they can do it year over year with different players, with a new bunch of players. You know, the team's always evolving. The team, so nobody's like getting comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And like this Doku guy, oh my God! Like if this is the new soup that they found after what happened last year with Alvarez and Haaland, like this is just crazy. I saw somebody tweeted that Doku's so good, he's made Pep Guardiola get over racism. Like that's
Oh
just how
shit.
good Doku is.
Oh shit.
like the whole ever since Yaya Toure spoke about Guardiola, he's had to always have to like that's always something that's been held over him, right? So people are
Mhm.
like Guardiola's like just walking this league so much, like he's run out of challenges. He's now taken it upon himself to face his internal racism, and
Hilarious.
that's the new thing he's having to do.
That's hilarious. Yeah, because he had issues with Eto. So then
Yeah,
I think Torre was like, see, he had problems with Eto, a great player, so he's
yeah,
racist. It's just not
yeah,
me. It's just, I had some issues with African players. And I guess Doku's Belgium though. So, you know,
yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to think. I know United won. It was it's not a weird game. It's how I watched it. I was in Utah Friday, did a military
Mhm.
base. And then so my flight was at 8 something in the morning, but the game started Utah time 6:30. So I got picked up at 6:30 and it took me half an hour to get to the airport. Then I started watching the game on my phone from the beginning. And then I got on the flight, which was a Delta flight. They have satellite TV. So I'm watching the game on my phone until the plane takes off and the phone can't operate anymore. And then I switched to the satellite TV and start watching it on the satellite TV.
Life, yeah.
Yeah, live. So yeah, we won. That's all I could say. Like, Bruno Fernandes, he got a goal, and you know, I'm right about one thing. You got to play our kids because it was Pelestri's like like hunger as a kid player to not give up on this ball down the right hand side that was passed to him. Then he lost it. Then he won it back, and then he lost it again. And then he crowded the person that could clear it, and it caused panic in the area. It ended up in Fernandes. Fernandes back to McTominay, back to Palestri, back to Fernandes. Put it in the back of the net, professionally slotted, you know. And but imagine how many times that could happen in a game if you play these hungry ass kids.
Mm.
That because we're just lacking energy. I don't know what happened. We've gone over it. I don't know what happened. I know I've been talking shit about Mason Mount, but now that you're here, Neil, I always never saw it.
Yeah.
And just like I didn't see why you were mad at Jorginho until he's in red. Bro, I don't see why you liked Mason Mount. And he's playing in red now. Like, he ain't playing for us, bro. I wish he was. I want to say that, but what is tell me what I'm supposed to like about this kid.
I mean, okay, so I'll be honest, I haven't seen a whole lot of United lately. Like I was saying, like I've barely been seeing a lot of games. Chelsea keeps me mad as it is, so the weekends aren't
Chelsea has
really
kept you
that.
off the podcast. Chelsea and your job. Who's kept you off this
Yeah,
podcast more, Chelsea or your job?
Yeah, it's mostly my job. Yeah, but um, so so I don't really know a lot about what's happening right now with Mason Mount's role at United, but I think he had the right idea though with Casemiro back and Bruno and Mount in those double eights. Um, is he still using that formation or has he changed things around? Is he still
First of
playing one
all,
holding midfielder behind?
it's just one. I feel like Ten Hag is playing two attacking because say when he starts Casemiro, right?
Hmm.
And he's Casemiro's only holding, and we're playing like 2 8s, right? You know Casemiro ain't really holding because you can see how many goals he has in the Premier League, which is almost as much as everybody else. So you know I can tell he's not keeping his position. I feel like Ten Hag told him to be attacking also. That's why he gets caught up the field. And you could press us while we're attacking you in your half. And if you turn us over, you can get a fast break on us. So we press people. But
Hmm.
if you press us when we're attacking you in your half and get a fast break, you'll catch us so high up the field that with a defense of Maguire and Johnny Evans and sometimes Lindelof out wide as a left back, you'll catch us off guard. And I feel like most teams should just counter United because nobody on our team is interested in playing hard. Like Newcastle, they played hard like the entire game. Brighton Hope, they play hard. Man City, they won the treble. Like they play like they never won a game. They play like, listen, we got to get out the relegation zone. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
so I just feel like we need more balance. But when Mason Mount is out there, bro, I've seen him lose 60-40s.
Hmm. But here's the thing, like I'm looking at his games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting this wrong? Or has he only like he's not been starting games,
Well,
right?
he was, and then he got
I
injured.
think his last start was on the 7th of October, which is like a month before.
Right, he got
And he's
injured. But
only
before he
started
got
four.
injured, listen, Mason Mount got injured and we didn't even miss him because that's how much of an impact he
Mhm.
didn't have before he got injured.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I just feel like it's maybe too like if you ask me like, what I saw and what I
Yeah.
expected will happen at United, I really thought that this combination of this midfield and Mount actually playing like the box to box midfielder that is his best position will work. So yeah, I'm happy for it to not work, but I also feel like it probably needs a little bit more time because it's
I
it's
hope you're
one of
right.
those roles where you can't just plug in plug out. You have to you have to combinations matter. The gameplay matters. The state of the game matters. So yeah, maybe it just requires these players to play with each other a lot more and not have like so many injuries that you're always having to like change the way you play from week to week.
I mean, I hope it takes more games. I hope he gets better. But all he has to do sometimes is just play harder and just make better passes. The whole team is messing up, though.
No, but see, this is what I'll say though. If the criticism of Mount right now is that he's not playing hard enough,
This is my
I
criticism.
think, yeah. But I've like heard it from other people too.
Okay, good.
That is something I think that should be on Ten Hag because that is not something any manager or has ever said about Mount. Like you've had periods even at Chelsea or England before where Mount's not having a great game or he's not contributing enough, but nobody's been able to fault his commitment or like his absolute tenacity to keep doing keep going at it like his pressing stuff like that. So those are things, at least I feel, which are you can easily get that out of mom.
We're not getting it, but we'll see. We're not getting it.
Speaking of your new signings, though, I thought Onana got clean sheet, made a couple of good saves. Like he seems to be growing in confidence bit by bit.
Yeah, for sure. Even in the game last week against Man City, where we let 3 in, like he had so many great saves. And in the game before that, I think that's when he helped us beat Copenhagen. Newcastle, he couldn't have saved any of those midweek. But yeah, good game again this weekend. Let's hope he can bring that into the Champions League. In the Champions League, there was an upset. And it was an upset because Newcastle was at home against Dortmund and Dortmund beat them. So now Newcastle got to go to Dortmund tomorrow. What do you guys think about Newcastle? Newcastle got injuries and Dortmund just lost. They got embarrassed. Like Bayern, like just kind of had their way with them this weekend in the Bundesliga. Just ran through them. I think Harry Maguire had a hat trick against them. I think the score was like
Harry Kane, you mean?
4. Say again? Harry Kane, yeah, Harry Kane. Sorry. So yeah.
You'd be very
Thanks.
happy if Harry Maguire got a hat trick.
I'd be happy if he was playing for somebody else. Like I just suggested he was.
Like if he's playing in the Bundesliga, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Ian's trying to wish him out the club.
Yeah. Listen,
You
guys,
say
you
it
gotta
oftentimes
manifest.
it'll happen.
Yeah.
Ian, I gotta Ian, I gotta go. I gotta take off.
Uh-huh.
All
right, cool.
All right,
All
sorry
right, well,
guys.
thanks for joining us, but congrats on the win.
Yeah. This is good. Thank you.
Enjoy the winning feeling.
Bye. Yeah. Bye.
All right, peace. So what do you think about this Dortmund Newcastle at Dortmund?
It'd be interesting. I can see it ending in a draw. But I mean, it's a hard one to predict because Dortmund, I mean, before that game, they had been fairly consistent. They'd been sort of a solid team. They're not a spectacular team these days, but they're very solid. That's what their coach is trying to do with them this season. Like you said, they went and got the win at Newcastle in the last round of games. And at home, you'd imagine with the Dortmund fans, nice European night, there'll be a good atmosphere there. And I think their fans will probably demand that there's a reaction from the weekend. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to call though, because Newcastle, even with injuries, they've still got a good team. So yeah, it's a hard one to call. I'm going to sit on the fence and say a draw. I can see it being like a 1-1.
I'll sit on the fence with you. Because, Dortmund only won by 1 goal away, and Newcastle has injuries. Even though the players that they bring in, are pretty, they're not historically good, but they rise to the technical level of players that are considered good. So I just don't know if they're always going to do that. So that's where the question is. But this is a pretty evenly match. And Dortmund is like, the fans build a fortress there. They're just the same way Newcastle is becoming this fortress where the fans are in love with the team. So then Dortmund has that going for them. And like you said, they have to respond after being beat by Bayern. So this will be interesting to see. Yeah. How it goes. PSG versus Milan.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Because PSG, without Messi and Neymar, they still got Mbappe, but they're not. They're sort of in almost like a little rebuild phase. Kolo Muani's trying to sort of find his feet there and figure out how to play in that team. They still got class players. I think PSG will edge that one like a 2-1 or something, or a 1-0.
It's at Milan.
Yeah.
And Milan is doing decent in the Italian league. I don't know if they won this weekend. I should check. But they're doing pretty decent. But that's another game. I think this will be a tie because PSG's just not been impressive. I don't think in the French league yet. But they do have some incredible players. Like that 17-year-old, I think his name is Zaire. I was watching highlights of him, and his midfield IQ is crazy, bro. He is the truth. He's one of the next great midfielders of all time. Like for what he's doing at his age is pretty impressive. So I'll just normally you just watch a PSG game for Mbappe, but or Neymar or Messi when Messi was there. But even though those two names are gone, y'all check out Zaire. So I'll watch the game for that. I'm trying to see what's going on Wednesday. United got Copenhagen. Fine. Trying to see if the Arsenal got Sevilla. They lost, I think, to Sevilla, I think, before, but now they got them at home. And Real Madrid got Braga. They should be able to handle that.
I think Bellingham might be out for that game. He's got like a shoulder injury or something.
Oh, well, I feel like he's the only one of the young players that they got that they don't rest. So I feel like he needs a rest.
Yeah.
So whether it's because of an injury or not, he just needs to rest. I'm gonna try to tell me about what that Southampton do.
Oh, in the depths of the championship. No, we went and played away to Millwall this weekend. And no matter what condition Millwall are in as a club, it's always just a horrible place to try and go and get a result. Because they fired their manager a couple of weeks ago. And they got like a caretaker manager in. They're still hiring at the moment. And they haven't won that many games this season, but they made it horrible for us still. Like they tried to make it hard for us to play. They were physical. There were a lot of fouls. They tried to just congest the pitch and get loads of bodies in the way. And it was a scrappy game. Like we had a couple of chances, but we weren't really, especially first half, we weren't doing enough to break them down. And make good chances. They hit the bar with like a header off a corner, which was the closest they came. And then second half, we stepped it up a bit. We started creating better chances, but we just weren't finishing. And it was looking like it was going to go down as one of them games where we probably should have won, but we'll take the draw. And then 93rd minute, Ryan Fraser pops up. Adam Armstrong feeds him, and he just finishes. And the away end goes crazy. We sold out our away allocation there. The fans were going nuts. James Beattie, who was one of our strikers in the sort of early mid 2000s, who used to score like 20 goals a season for us in the Premier League. He was they like zoomed in. He was in the away end with the fans. He was going crazy. Ryan Fraser had a fun interview after the game as well. They asked him if it felt good to score the winner, and he said, yeah, because he's really short, Ryan Fraser. He's like 5'2" or something.
Damn.
And he said, like, yeah, because the Millwall fans were calling me a dwarf the whole time I was on the pitch. So he's like, it felt good to score against them. So yeah, it's it's that sort of stadium that you go to there. And yeah, I was pleased for Ryan Fraser as well because he's 5'4", not 5'2". I did him dirty there. But he's
what's
been
the
good
difference?
for us.
2 inches.
I don't know. Some people might argue that makes all the difference. But yeah, he's a good player. He doesn't always start for us at the moment because we play Adam Armstrong on one wing and Kamaldeen Sulemana on the other wing. So Ryan Fraser's having to be patient. But he's a really effective game changer sub to bring on. He scored for us. He scored the winner for us in injury time at Hull as well. So we're making a habit of these late goals, and I don't mind that. It shows good character that we keep fighting until the end, and the team keeps going, and we're trying to wear people down. I'd prefer more comfortable wins for my heart rate more than anything. I'd like it if we could just go out there and do what we did against Leeds and go 3-0 up and chill. But I'll take the wins because we're fourth in the league right now.
Shit.
The two teams at the top drop points. So Leicester lost to Leeds, who are third. We're fourth. And Leicester are top. Ipswich dropped points. They drew 2-2 with Birmingham. Wayne Rooney's first point as Birmingham manager. They were winning as well. Birmingham were 2-1 up, and then Ipswich pulled it back to 2-2. So a little bit unlucky to not get his first win. I would have liked to see a Rooney win as well because we're trying to chase Ipswich down. So I would have quite liked to see them lose some points, but they got a draw still. But it means we gained on them, so I'll take that. But yeah, it's an ultra competitive league. I bought my ticket today for Huddersfield away on the 25th of November. Huddersfield is sort of like between Leeds and Manchester kind of way. And I'm going to go to that game in the afternoon, and then I'm going to do a show just outside Manchester in the evening. So I'm going to spend the whole day up in that region on the 25th, which would be nice.
That's dope. Damn, I was going to ask you, so yeah, I can't remember what I was going to ask you about the championship. Maybe it'll come back and I'll ask you. We should have, when Neil was on before he left, since we were talking about Chelsea, I'm just realizing that Chelsea's next game is against Man City at Chelsea. So they had to win today. You know what I mean? But what's your theory on Chelsea versus Man City this weekend coming up as the marquee game?
I mean, Chelsea better be hoping their opponents go down to 9 men again, because that's the only way I can see them getting a result against Man City. I think Chelsea are trying to move in the right direction. The win today should give them confidence, but I can't see anything other than a Man City win.
Right, and I'm with you. Even though Chelsea, they don't have to play any midweek games, so they get off. Right, they're in no competition, and then Man City is going to play. I think Braga. They're going to play in a Champions League.
I think that's boys? Who Real Madrid have. Yeah, I think Young Boys Bern is who they're playing.
Young Boys, yeah. So
that'll be a stroll.
Right, they'll make it a stroll.
Yeah, so they're at home, so they don't even have to travel for that one. They won 3-1 away, so they'll be comfortable at home. They could rotate for that one as well. They can put like Rico Lewis in, and who's that other new young player, Bop, the one who set up one of the goals for them. He's like some Norwegian kid playing for him now.
Did he play this weekend?
Yeah, he set up. I think he set up Ake's goal. He came off the bench. Let me look at his name. So, is it Oscar Bob? He's like a young dude who's. They're giving minutes to some of the young players now. Yeah, Norwegian footballer. How old is he? 20 years old. Been at Man City since 2019. So
this is how good Man City is. Man City's so good. They had one of their loan kids play for Bournemouth this weekend, and he helped. I'm trying to make sure it was Bournemouth. I'm trying to look at the scores from this weekend. Yeah, No, it wasn't Bournemouth. I think he played for Nottingham Forest, and Nottingham Forest beat Villa, who's been on a huge ass run, and he's like a right back. So, like, they're so good. They got unknown kids playing for other teams all over the league and being the best, players, the best players on those teams. So,
which player is that? I'm trying to look that up.
let me go to this game. Nottingham Forest versus Villa. Or did he play for? Who did Liverpool play? Because Liverpool tied.
Luton. Liverpool... I think is it the guy at Luton?
It's a lineups. Is there an assist?
I don't think it's a Forest.
So it might be at Luton. Because the confusing thing is Nottingham Forest and Luton.
Oh yeah, they got Issa Kabore.
Right, he's a right back.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Right back from Man City. 22.
Yeah, he put that ball in for for Luton to go up 1-0. But he was a pain in the ass for Liverpool like the entire game. So, yeah.
Yeah, he played out at Marseille in Ligue 1 last year. So he got some good experience there. So yeah, good solid loan move for Luton there.
Yeah, and this kid is getting Premier League experience against top teams without jeopardizing himself under pressure at Man City. So that's pretty
And
good for him.
It was one of your ex-kids who got the goal as well.
Oh yeah. Chung put that in the net just to damage Liverpool, and he came on as a sub, so it was good to see him like do his thing. And another kid that did a good thing for ex-United player Ilanga for Forest, and he helped to get that win.
That's a big win for Forest as well.
Yeah, huge win. I was talking to Lloyd. Lloyd was going to the game. I said, "You going to Forest?" Said, "Yeah." So then, while I'm watching the game on TV, I'm like, "He's not going to be happy about this score." He's down there stewing.
Yeah, the way they've been playing recently, Villa, I thought they were just going to Nottingham Forest for like a guaranteed 3 points.
I feel like the people they beat and the run that they're on, they might have been a little overconfident, and they thought it was going to be easy. But Forest played some good ball. Like the ball that Cooper wanted to play when he first came, and then he had to stop playing that ball just to stay in the league. There's elements of that back in their game. Like when they get the ball, it looks good, and they can hurt you. They got so much speed in that forward line. Like,
I like that forward line as well. Like Awani, Elanga, and Gibbs White as well. The three of them, they're all tricky players.
Tricky players. They're lightning. Like so, once they get their chemistry right on their mixture of like how Cooper wanted to play and some counterattacking with all that speed, they could be trouble. Like they almost beat United. So yeah, just as far as Man City versus Chelsea, you had your fun this week. I don't think you're going to be able to do anything versus Man City this weekend. They, from what I saw them do to us, and then go to Bournemouth. The only good thing about the Bournemouth result was like the United people can be like, see, they only scored 3 against us. They scored 6 against Bournemouth. Now I know we were at home, and that's not supposed to happen at home, but still, City travels well. What's a meal that travels well? You know what I mean? They're like they travel well. So it doesn't matter if you eat it in the restaurant or you have it delivered. That shit's gonna taste like you had it in the restaurant. That's how
pizza
Chelsea
maybe
plays. Pizza, yeah, and they're good the day after. So, so good luck, Chelsea. Yeah.
Oh man.
What's going on with the fantasy league?
Fantasy league. I mean, a lot of people, after he scored a hat trick against you guys, I think a lot of people captained Haaland against Bournemouth, assuming that he was just gonna demolish Bournemouth, and then he did nothing for anyone. So I think anyone that captained Haaland wasn't getting many points. Let me have a little look.
Was you one of the people that captained it?
Oh yeah, I captained him. I was like, Haaland against Bournemouth. This is a no-brainer. He's going to run riot. Right. But I did have Bruno Fernandes, so he got me a bunch of points. I have Mitoma, who got the assist for the own goal that they scored against Everton. I had Trippier, got a clean sheet against Arsenal. So a few of my players got some points, but my forwards were terrible. My forwards, I had Watkins, who did nothing against Forest, missed a bunch of chances. I had Haaland, who just did nothing against Bournemouth in front of goal, and I had Darwin Núñez, who probably should have scored a hat trick in that game. Like he does everything so well apart from finish. Right. And like he was lucky that one where Salah headed it across goal and he smashed it over from like 1 yard out. Like he was lucky that was offside, because I mean it's still embarrassing though that he did it. It's still on camera. We all saw it.
Yeah, we saw it.
But I actually gained places this week. I
Oh
went
yeah.
above Martin, which is always it's a bad weekend for Martin. I'm now 7 points ahead of him, so Martin's dropped down to 20th. I'm in 18th. Neil's flying high. Neil's up in 10th. Neil's having a
He
good time
is?
of it.
Neil?
Yeah, he's up there.
Damn.
He's up there. Although I got more points than Neil this weekend, so I gained on Neil, but he's still up there.
All right.
And Thomas Moran is still first place. So Thomas, congrats. You locked down first place. You're still top by 3 points.
All right,
But
Thomas.
he fucked up though. He did fuck up this weekend because he triple captained Haaland. So he's
You can do
wasted
that?
his triple captain. Yeah, you can only choose it one game per season though. Where they get triple points because captain normally gets double points, but he went triple points. So he's wasted that. So you fucked up there, Thomas. But you
he tried to win the league in one game. He tried to never have to like pay attention to his team lineup ever again, just in this one game. Didn't work, bro.
He went all in. He pushed all his chips in, and it didn't come up. So he better hope that doesn't come back to bite him. But he's still top. He's still riding high at the moment, but he's only top by 3 points. So he can be caught. So we'll see how you do, Thomas. But no, congrats. You're still number one right now after game week 11. So we're coming up to like a third of the way through the season almost in a few games. So yeah, it's looking okay. I'm on exactly 600 points, and Thomas at the top is on 672. So I got some ground to make up if I'm going to bother any of those top teams. I need to try and find some hidden gems that are going to do something. I thought putting Darwin Núñez in was maybe going to get me some stuff because I was like, oh, he's going to come good soon. He's doing all the right things, and then I think he did well the last game. But then this one, yeah, absolute dud. All my forwards duds. Watkins is elusive for me though. Watkins, every time I put him in my team, he does nothing, and then I transfer him out, and then he'll score a hat trick or something. Like me and Watkins don't get along right now. If Lloyd wants to send me some money to not pick Watkins in my fantasy team, I'll gladly accept that because it means Watkins will keep scoring.
Yeah, Watkins is a unstable chemical. It's an unpredictable chemical. You don't know what it's going to do when you put it in the test tube and mix it with other shit. Like sometimes it might, make you something awesome, and then sometimes it might just try. He's going to try hard, but it's not always going to, give you some results. So, but that's where he is in his career. Maybe one more season it'll be more consistent, and you could use him. Darwin Núñez, like I understand why you use him because even his misses are amazing. You know what I mean? That was a technically class miss. Now I don't know what they were saying punditry wise when he missed that goal that you had described earlier, but out here they feel like Salah did not mean to head it to him; that he meant to head it to the goal, and missed it and then made it go. But I feel like Salah was definitely passing it to him because any player could make a mistake, all the great ones, but I could see him look for that pass, which was a great pass. But Darwin Núñez is so selfish and would have never passed that. He couldn't believe Salah passed it to him. So that must probably was the problem. But and shout out to is David Luiz?
Ruben Diaz. Not Ruben Diaz. Sorry, no, Luis Diaz. Sorry, Ruben Diaz is the Man City defender. Luis Diaz, yeah.
Luis Diaz. No, from Liverpool. Who?
Luis Diaz. Luis the one with the parents who's been kidnapped and that.
Yeah, his dad's still kidnapped, and he came into the game and got the equalizer for Liverpool. Hope your parents, you get your moms back because that's a crazy thing to go through. And I guess he played because it's better playing and focusing on something as opposed to what he's going through. So it's I mean, I hope that goal helps. Like, just period. Anything you want to cover?
No, I think that's about it. It's I mean, let's just revel in the the end of this Spurs tyranny that's been gripping the league this season. You know, long may the Spursiness continue now going forward.
Yeah, exactly. Just to repeat what I said, like not only did they lose, but they lost a lot this game. That's going to have repercussions on the rest of this season. So this might be their turning point for us to start enjoying watching them fall apart. So that's dope. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Great job. Last week the program was acting up, so it wouldn't get me clips. I'm paying for this AI program that is like messing up the clips. So I might have to like get this other AI program tomorrow and just spend more money. But hopefully this one will work. So we'll see what's up. But yeah, man, good shit. And I'll holler. Thank you all. Thanks for listening. Leave some comments on YouTube, like and subscribe, recommend the podcast to your friends, whether you're listening to it on one of the audio platforms, Omni Studio, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else. And peace out. One love.